ahead of a Supreme Court decision that looks likely to end the constitutional right to an abortion in America. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Tuesday said eliminating women's access to abortion would have very damaging effects on the U.S. economy.
Well, I believe that eliminating the right of women to make decisions about when and whether to have children would have very damaging effects on the economy and would set women back decades. Roe v. Wade and access to reproductive health care, including abortion, helped lead to increased labor force participation. It enabled many women to finish school. That increased their earning potential. It allowed women to plan and balance their families and careers. And research also shows that it had a favorable impact on the well-being and earnings of children.
Yellen's comments at a Senate Banking Committee hearing came just over a week after the leak of a draft Supreme Court decision that would overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 ruling that established a constitutional protection for abortion. The pending decision has raised fears that many more states would enact far-reaching abortion restrictions and in some states ban the practice completely. Yellen's comments drew a rebuke from Republican Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who said her framing of the economic consequences of the abortion debate were harsh and inappropriate for such a painful social issue.
Some of your comments in response to Bob's question I found troubling. And I just from a clarity's sake, did you say that ending the life of a child is good for the labor force participation rate?
What we're talking about is whether or not women will have the ability to regulate their reproductive situation in ways that will enable them to plan lives that are fulfilling and satisfying for them. And one aspect of a satisfying life is being able to feel that you have the financial resources to raise a child, that the children you bring into the world are wanted, and that you have the ability to take care of them. In many cases, abortions are of teenage women, particularly low income and often Black, who aren't in a position to be able to care for children, have unexpected pregnancies, and it deprives them of the ability often to continue their education, to later participate in the workforce. So there is a spillover into labor force participation, but it means that children will grow up in poverty and do worse themselves.
Morning Consult Chief Economist John Lear said that the history bears this out.
I can say definitively that what we can attribute a lot of the growth in the U.S. economy to enhanced labor force participation on the part of women. And a lot of that occurred starting in the 1970s, which happens to correspond with the Roe v. Wade decision. So that's sort of a correspondence as opposed to any sort of real correlation or causal relationship. But clearly what we want is to have a growing share of women out there, not only working, but also looking for work. And that's been one of the sort of titanic changes that has occurred in the U.S. economy over the last 60 years.